Hello, hello. All right, today I got a lot of projects going on, so I'm just going to make a private stream real quick just to watch this one project. I'm going to be 3D carving a block of cherry. This is a scrap block of cherry that I had left over from my Bible carve. It is 2 inches thick, 16.5 inches by 7.25. You can see my spoil board's nothing but a piece of plywood. I've done war slam through my MDF. I need to redo that, but that's not necessary for the time being. What I'm using today, since my spoil board that has been prepped for my work hold clamps has been planed down so much I can't use it anymore, I'm just going to use these little strips, these little scrap strips to hold my work into place. I always keep a little bucket of these sheetrock screws handy. I like to toenail my screws at an angle, helps draw the wood in tight to the stock. Make sure you get a good tight fit. And that's not going anywhere. And that's really all you need for a work hold. It's just some scrap and a few screws. Pop a few screws in it. That is tight. It's not going to go anywhere. Here's what I'm doing. I'm doing these 3 dogs. This is a pretty deep Vcarve. It's a pretty deep 3D carve, excuse me. What I have here is my Harbor Freight calipers. I got it set to Imperial. They do work good enough for everything we're needing. 1.946 inches. It's going to hold on both these sides, so I don't really need any work hold on the top and bottom. Cutting this close to the bottom edge, it will cut into my fence down here, but this is scrap anyway. The carve is going to start about right here, and it's going to finish about right here. So I'm still going to have this meat and this meat holding it so it doesn't shift around. So that's going to be fine. With those 2 vectors, I'm going to recalculate that. There's my pocket. You see it's going to have just a little bit. Come on. It's going to have just a little bit of meat right there and right there. That'll probably end up chipping away when we get down to roughing that out. But that's going to set my frame a lot thinner than my carve. So with that done, let's do the roughing path. All right, I'm going to machine this out to the selected vector. So that's going to be this vector right here. Calculate that up. All right, there's my roughing path. Now my finishing path, I'm going to finish it to that same vector. Got selected vectors selected up here. So let's generate that tool path. And then the final profile path, I like the hog over the beast. The beast would be too short to cut all the way through this. So this is why I primarily use the hog. It would be really nice to have one just a little bit longer than the hog, but then you're losing stability. You have to slow down just a little bit. Okay, but that'll be fine. See how much higher the carve will be from the frame. So I like that. So let's go ahead and save these out. So I got to connect my CNC. I got mine connected through the Ethernet. Ethernet's better than USB for multiple reasons. There was the last IDC live stream that was talking about this, and one of the fellows, I think he was thinking when we talk about USB, he uses the Maslow board, but when we was talking about USB, he thought we was talking about the thumb drive. But when we're talking about the long mill, you can't use a thumb drive for the long board. You can only use a USB cable connected to the computer, or use the Ethernet connected to the computer. Ethernet's better because the cable is better shielded. You can go a lot, you can stretch the cable a lot farther. The connectors, the RJ45s on each end are better than the USB connectors, and you can transfer data faster. So they're shielded, so that's going to knock off some of the interference from the router and all this stuff. It's going kind of slow because I had this on normal. I'm going to set that on rapid. There we go. I'm going to come all the way over here. This is the fine bit from IDC. It's not the ultra fine. It's just the fine bit. So that's going to be what we need for here. Right there. All right. I'm right at the corner of my material here. So I'm going to 0 X. I'm going to 0 Y. Again, I've got the fine carving bit. I'm going to go ahead and flip the router on. I just drilled a little hole right there. I probably went just a little bit too deep, but that's okay. That hole is going to be there. That is my 0 point for X and Y. So put this back on rapid. If it gets up here and I lose my zeros, I can always manually come down, go back to normal, go to precise. I can dial that in right there. Z, move that half a millimeter step per click. You see, I can just set that bit right in there. I can set that bit right back in that hole. I can click 0 on my X and 0 on my Y. You can see right there, I got just a little gap to the left. On my X and Y movements, although what already says precise, I can move this down to 0.1 millimeters per step. And when I click the left arrow, I'm going to raise this Z back up just a hair. I can click the left arrow, boom, right there. And I can see I got just a little gap on the top. So I'm going to go up just a hair. That was too much. I'm going to go down one more. Let's go down just a hair. Like I said, I went down too deep to drill the hole. You shouldn't go down quite as deep, but I'm going to show you. I wasn't really looking, but I'm going to show you just manually getting back to this spot right here. Let's see. I got 0.01 and 0.01 on my X and my Y. That's more than good enough to pick up where you left off. Just re-zero it. I've got this start job. I've got this little tab up here, and click that little tab. You can manually type in here where you left off. That 0.01 is going to be so close, you probably won't even see a line at all. If you do see a line, it's going to be very, very faint. And I use these anyway, and I just go over the whole carve once it gets done. These will remove that faint line as well. I don't like the green ones. They always stain the wood green. I don't like using them, but you got different coarsenesses of these little, I don't even know what you call them, but IDC does have these on their website. I just picked these up from Amazon. but they're cheap enough. You get a big old box from them. They will get rid of any lines if you're using a big step over on your finishing bit. You might see some lines. Those things will get rid of them. Best way to not see those lines is to decrease that step over. I think what am I using, 8% step over on this bit, and I'll leave it at 8. If I go any less than 8, of course, it's going to make that carve time much longer, but 8's good enough. Anyway, that's how you re-zero your machine. If you lose power, if you lose steps, if anything happens, you can recover your job with that little pinhole. The way I have this machine set up, I can take this screw out, got a screw on the other side, and I can remove this whole piece of wood, and I've got a hole cut out in the center of my table so I can place a metal grate on top of it, and I can change my router out for my plasma, and I don't have to worry about starting a fire on top of this piece of wood. That's the way I did it. If you want to make your router convertible from router to plasma, another way you can do that is just get you one of those drip pans that goes under a washing machine, and you can place that on top of your spoil board and just put halfway full of water, and that'll keep it cool enough to where it will not affect your spoil board. Plus, you'll have a water bed for your plasma cutter to catch all the smoke and debris that flies around. Plasma dust is extremely nasty. I've got mine set up this way, so I'm going to have to take this and raise my router just a bit in my mount to compensate for the hog bit. Otherwise, it will bottom out on the Z when it's going up to find its safe clearance height. So let's do that now. Because I'm going to unscrew this. I'm going to keep my little pressure on the router so this don't drop. I'm going to make it almost flush. I'm going to make the bottom of the router almost flush. I'm just going to tighten that back up. Not too tight. And that will give me plenty of clearance for this long hog bit. I'm going to put my finger on that finishing bit so it just don't fall out when I loosen this collet. Put that back in here for the time being. Cover that back up. There we go. That's the bit. That's my finishing bit that I'm using. It's just the fine 3D detail bit, not the ultra fine. I would only use the ultra fine if I was doing a real small carve, because that circle will take forever to finish. You'd have a really good project when you get done, but it will take forever to carve. All right, let's take the collet off. See all that sawdust in there? That sawdust can be a bad day. Let's knock that sawdust out. That sawdust will actually act as a lubricant. And if I was to put that up in there and tighten that up with that sawdust in there, this could start to loosen up and that bit will start to pull out and it will drive down into my material. Oh, I'm cleaning up the inside of the router as well. Make sure there's no sawdust up in there. Get it pretty close. Hit the probe button in G-Sender. Touch the plate and hit start probe. Alrighty, the rest of this stream is going to be pretty noisy. Get the keyboard out of the way. So it's going to be a long stream today and very boring from here on out. But we're going to watch this whole project play through. After I hit the stop button, we'll see the speed show up there. I'm going to slow this thing down to start with, and we'll fiddle with the feed rate in G-Center till I get something that sounds real good. All right, I know that was loud. There's my first pocket. And I guess as you can see, uh, when it started making its back and forth movements, I slowed it down to maybe 30–40% speed. When it was doing its 100% step over on that first path through here, I kept it about 40 or 45% speed. But once it stepped up a little bit and it was only using just a small portion of that bit for the step over to finish this pocket out, I ran it up about 120%. And I know not everybody feels comfortable maneuvering or adjusting the speed on the fly like that, but that's when it's using 100% of this bit, I don't want it going as fast. If it's only using a small portion of this bit, I can speed that up to it can carve that out real fast to speed up the carve time on the project. Now, when we're using something like this right here, this is a super fine, well, it's not the ultra fine, so it's not the smallest, but that is a very small amount of wood you're interacting with on these small bits. And with this small bit, take into consideration the step over is 8%. So you're only using 8% of this bit. So you're taking out a very small amount of wood on each pass. So you can really crank that speed up with these bits. I see some people in the comment section talk about, oh, I did a 8x8 carve and it took like 12 hours. You really need to crank those speeds up. Most of my bobbles, the carve, I do the full. I do the full 16-inch on my Bible carves, and it's like 13 inches tall. So it's 13 inches by 16 inches. The whole carve, the roughing and the finish path, takes about 5 hours. So you can really crank those speeds up. When I first started using the CNC, my biggest problem was going too slow. I was burning up my bits. I was burning up my wood. If you're burning up your bits, if you see any dark marks in the wood, and you feel nervous about speeding the machine up, you need to slow that spindle down because you're going entirely too fast with the spindle for the slow movements it's going, because it's heating up the bit. See, right now I can touch this. I have no problem holding this. If this is so hot that you can't touch it, you're going too slow. You need to speed the feed rate up or slow the spindle way down. Let's grab my 3D roughing and we'll start that. But the roughing pass should take about 50 minutes. And it says my 3D finishing pass should take 3.5 hours. So we're going to speed those numbers up a little bit, but still, this is going to be a long stream. I don't have to re-zero because all my zeros are the same. I'm not changing the bit. I'm using the same bit for the roughing pass. I saw what it's doing. Holy crap, look at that. All right, now tighten some V-wheels. How did y'all get loose? Like that. Almost like it fell off. Oh, that is falling out. All right. Now I see why it's making those gaps stuck yet. That V-wheel right there has loosened up, and the router is kind of hot, so because it's not riding straight. Quick fix. All right, when you're doing stuff like this, you can move this around all you want to, but it is very important to not allow the router to bottom out. As long as it does not bottom out right there, it will not lose the zero. Hey, Lord, that's about to fall off. Well, that's all I got for the time being, so this will work. Right there. All right, she's tight again. Let's see if you can see right here, my start button says 3849, and that's where we're going to pick off. That's where we're going to pick up from. If I do that, this is me thinking out loud. If I do that, it's probably just going to plunge back down right there and then take off. So I'm not just going to plunge it down right there. I'm going to back it up just a few lines and let it creep back up on that spot. If that makes any sense to you. That says 3849. I'm going to back that up to 3830. I've backed this up to 3830, and we're going to start from that line. All right, let's cross our fingers. Oh, I hit the E-stop. Why did it go up there? It went right beside that right there. So I don't know. Was that code already loaded into the controller at 3849? I'm not sure why it done that, but what I'm going to do, I'm still not giving up. I'm going to go to 3200 and see where that's at. We're going to start from 3200. Put the router off. And we'll come over here and do our Z probe. Touch off. Got the green light. And start probe. I've only had one problem with this Z probe. The banana clip. The wire broke off inside the banana clip, and that banana clip was just trash. So I stripped the wire back, I locked it down in the screw, and those are the threads those are the threads that the banana clip is supposed to tighten down onto. I just took those threads and shoved it up into the block and tightened it up. Now that's not going anywhere. I've been using it that way for about 6 months now. I'm going to drop that. And you see it fits right in that hole we drilled at the beginning of the project. So if we had any problems, we could go back to that hole, zero it out right there, then zero it out with the touch plate, and we can find our Z's again. So I always reduce the speed to about a 2 on this finishing pass. I'm going to hit the start button, then I'm going to slow it down. Yeah. Okay, well that just happened. Why did you stop? It acted like the E-stop just got slapped, but it did not. Control C just in case. I'm going to raise this up. Turn the router back on. And start from. Okay, it stayed. I don't know why it stopped, but let's see if it will restart. Got my hand on the stop button. Okay. I don't know why. Well, I may have to end up building a Faraday cage around my super longboard controller, because this stop I have my little rotary tool fixing the nose here a little bit, and this stop, as soon as I cut that rotary tool off, I mean the very second I cut that rotary tool off, the CNC stopped. I don't know if that's what caused it. Turn this back up to 80. But thank goodness I was able to recover. Oops, wrong way. There we go. There. Now I don't have to worry about the Z bottoming out when it goes to find its safe clearance. And we'll do our final profile. There we go. This shouldn't take too long. Should be done. Hit the probe button, touch it off. Got the green light. Z0 has been set. And here we go. Loud rascal. Now, wrap this booger out the way. And let's unscrew this sucker and see how it came out. Okay. Not too bad. Put a little piece of sandpaper on this real fast. Knock off some of this sawdust and we'll go put a clear coat on it. Clear coat always makes it look better. Real good and wet. About 3 coats of that on there. She ought to stay shiny for a good long while. All right. That's it for this project. So stay tuned. I got some more coming up pretty soon. Y'all have a good one.